Dear Katie episodes are always the hardest ones for me to record because there's a real person behind every letter, a real family, and a lot of pain that nobody meant to cause. Today's letter, this one's heavy. If you've ever thought, they did everything for me and I can't seem to give it back. Or I was just trying to survive. I didn't know how to let anyone in. Or even, I don't know where the hell to start. Keep listening. Because asking, how do I become emotionally available when I never dealt with my past takes guts. And this letter is focused on that. Before we dive in and I read this letter to you, I want to remind you that on January 21st, we have our first masterclass of this year, where I'm going to be talking about how to reconnect emotionally with your partner without the marathon talks. We often think that to connect with our partner, it is going to involve lots of words because there's so much resentment and hurt from the past. And we're also so used to staying in that performance mode, right? Into that let's get things done, and why didn't you do this? Or can't you remember these things? We get so stuck. And in that process, we start to disconnect more and more. And this is where we start to see that emotional divorce happen. It's a big reason why I wanted to start January with a free masterclass to help us start reconnecting with our partner beyond words and better understand the patterns that we have that need to be broken that are keeping us disconnected. So make sure to register for that masterclass and link in the show notes. Okay, dear listeners, go grab yourself a warm drink and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to Relationship Reset, a podcast for high-achieving couples who've been together for over a decade and don't want to feel like roommates anymore. I'm Katie Rustler, relationship strategist and couples counselor with almost 20 years of experience helping ambitious couples reconnect, strengthen communication, and turn their relationship into the best part of their success story. This podcast is about using practical tools and a lot of real talk to help you understand your patterns, stop feeling stuck and discouraged, and start working on your relationship in ways that actually fit your busy life. Because your relationship shouldn't be the cost of your success, it should be the best part of it. So let's dive in. Dear Katie, I've been with my partner for nearly 4 years. We have a son who is 4.5. When he was 6 months old, my ex walked out on us. I met my current partner while I was pregnant through a colleague of mine. We'd connected briefly on Instagram, but didn't really talk. When my son was 7 months old, I reached out to her. Long story short, she never left. I had postpartum depression and she became everything I needed. She stepped in as his other parent, took care of both of us. The first 6 months, she believed the love and intimacy would come once I felt better. The depression lasted a year. She fell in love with my son and with me. I loved her for everything she did for us. 4 years later, she does everything, cleans, meal preps. We both work, and she's doing post-grad work now. I was diagnosed with epilepsy 2 years ago and haven't been able to drive, so she's carried that weight too. She has been my rock, and I have not been hers. I never got over my ex walking out. I was never able to be emotionally available for my partner. We've never had real intimacy. I've never given her what she needed. We've had breaks before, but 2 days ago, it all came crashing down and we broke up. My work, my parents, everyone's been saying the same thing. I don't think about others. I'm tunnel visioned. I'm probably neurodivergent, just not diagnosed. It's all hitting me this week. I've been doing so much self-reflection these past 2 days. At first, I didn't know if I even wanted to save the relationship, but listening to your podcast changed that. My question is, how do I become emotionally available when I never truly got over my ex walking out? We never learned how to be partners. She walked straight into being a mom. How do I start being emotionally available after not dealing with my past for so long? Okay, let me just pause here for a second. You didn't walk into this relationship like most people do. You were abandoned while you had a newborn. You were dealing with depression. You became a single parent overnight. And then she showed up, not as a girlfriend, but as someone who kept you alive. She became your co-parent, your support system, the person holding everything together. That changes everything about how a relationship works. This wasn't dating. This was survival. And when relationships start like that, there's no room for the emotional stuff. No slow build, no figuring each other out, no honeymoon period. You just went straight into, we need to get through today. So when you say, we never learned how to be partners, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Here's what I need you to understand. You didn't shut her out on purpose. You shut down because you had to. When someone walks out on you at one of the worst moments of your life, your brain learns something really fast. Don't need people too much. Don't get too attached. Don't rely on anyone emotionally because they might leave. So you stayed guarded, not because you're a bad person, not because you don't care, right? But because your system was trying to keep you safe. Your nervous system is there to do that. Your brain is about protecting you. And here's a big point. She didn't become your partner. She became the person who held your life together. And when someone's doing that, you don't fall in love with them the way you're supposed to. You depend on them. And love and dependency become enmeshed. They're not the same thing. And that hurts for both of you. Now, I don't know her story, but I can imagine if somebody comes in and takes full responsibility and care, she has her own walk. She has her own journey and reasons behind that. But because she didn't write this letter, I'm going to address what you share. So something I want you to be aware of is you can't force yourself to be emotionally available. And this is where people tend to get stuck. They think, okay, I just need to try harder. I need to do more. I need to give her more of what she wants, right? I need to open up more vulnerably. I need to be more present, ask more questions. But that's not how this works. You can't fake intimacy. You can't perform your way into connection. Being emotionally available isn't about doing more. It's about dealing with what you've been avoiding. You said it yourself. I never truly got over my ex walking out. That didn't just hurt. It changed how safe you feel getting close to people. He left in the midst of postpartum depression, of a complete change in identity for you. Your body had just gone through a beautiful trauma, and he left. Until you actually deal with that loss, your brain's going to keep saying, don't open up too much, it's dangerous. So the real question isn't, how do I show up for her? It's how do I finally sit with what happened to me? Look, the fact that you can say, and others have given you the feedback, that you have this tunnel vision. You've even said, I haven't been there for her. I see what I've been doing. That's huge. But knowing what's wrong doesn't fix it. If anything, it can make things worse because now you see the problem, but you don't know what to do about it. So it feels like this constant failure. And that starts to turn more and more into shame. And shame makes you shut down even more. So instead of beating yourself up and asking what's wrong with me, try asking, why did I learn to do it this way? That's how you stop beating yourself up and start understanding yourself. You mentioned maybe being neurodivergent, and you know what? Most of my clients are. So I understand skirting that line of I'm not sure, but everyone around me is saying I am. Whether you get diagnosed or not, here's what matters. You've been dealing with high stress, burnout, grief you never processed, a chronic health condition, and years of just trying to survive. All of that kills your ability to be emotionally present. Doesn't matter, neurodivergent or not. So before you can have big emotional conversations or try to be better in quotations, you've got to get your nervous system out of crisis mode. You can't connect with someone when you're barely keeping it together. So let's get practical. I'm going to give you some tools to start using. And dear listener, you can be using these too. This week, just say this out loud or write it down. I learned how to survive. I didn't learn how to let people in, and I want to figure out how to do that. That's it. No big promises, no pressure, no how exactly you're going to do that. Just actually start to say that out loud and to write it down because we have to name it first. We don't need to fix it yet. First, we need to name it. As you say that out loud or write it, you may become emotional. That is okay. You need to be able to get in tune with those feelings to be able to grieve and heal them. And I highly recommend you doing this with the support of a professional because there may be some stuff that you'll be unpacking that you weren't aware that was still deep inside you. Now let's address your grief about your ex and how it doesn't belong in this current relationship. I know you guys have broken up, but if there is going to be a chance for you to get back together, there's just some things you need to think about. You need to deal with what happened with your ex somewhere else. Not with your partner, not in your arguments, not in the ways you project things on her. And you may not even realize that you are projecting things on her. I want you to get professional support. Journal about it. Write letters you'll never send. I love getting my clients to do that because it allows them to tap into the things they need to say that their body and mind is craving to get out, but they're so afraid to send it or to really share it with that person. So write the letters you'll never send. Your partner can't be the person you process abandonment with while also asking her to trust you. That's just too much. And if you and your partner are in a space where you're still talking and maybe trying to work things out, I want you to ask her once this week, what's one thing you've been dealing with that I probably don't know about? As she shares, I don't want you to try to fix it. I don't want you to defend yourself. Just listen. What I notice about my clients is that when they actually take the time to listen to their partner, they feel a lot of responsibility to change what the partner's going through. That is not the purpose of this. The purpose is for you to be able to connect. The purpose is to start actually listening to what's happening to her too. And the purpose is for you to start to open up to what would emotional vulnerability be like with her. You might even take a moment and say something to her along the lines of this. We started this relationship in survival mode, not as partners. You came in at a time where I needed someone to help pick up the pieces, and you did that. I shut down emotionally because I was protecting myself, and I haven't figured out how to get out of that. And I want to learn how to be emotionally available. I just don't know how to yet, but I want to try, and I'm willing to do the work. None of that gave any major guarantees. None of that was about fixing it immediately. It's just being honest, because it sounds like from your letter, that's really what you're trying to say. And whether you guys continue on as partners or very dear close friends, there is an enmeshment and maybe a codependence there of the hero and the victim. And I want you guys to start to separate those two. You are no longer the victim, and she no longer needs to be the hero rescuing you. So to the author of this letter, and to anyone listening who sees themselves in this, you're asking the right questions. And that's where everything starts. Now it's about opening yourself up to the answers that may not be comfortable. And whether she chooses to walk with you on that journey or not, or whether you choose to ask her to be beside you or not in that journey, that's a different thing. The steps you are taking are going to build the legacy for your child of what healthy relationships look like. And your child is young enough that this is the perfect time to do this work and start to role model healthy communication, what real connection looks like, and being willing to do the work on ourselves. This isn't work we have to do solo. I think often we get into this mindset around shame and guilt and a sense of failure, and we want to just pull in and isolate ourselves, but that actually plays more mind games with us. We need to do this type of work in the presence of someone who knows how to walk us through it. This is why professional support can be so helpful, not to tell you what to do, but to stand beside you, hold space for what it is you need to say out loud, and to point out the patterns so you can start to know how to break them and receive the tools that will support you and really designing the life you desire to have. And in that life is the relationship you desire to have, not just with your partner, but also with your child, because I can imagine that the last few years have made it hard overall with many of your relationships. It sounds like that from the feedback you're getting too. Okay, I hope you found this episode supportive. And dear listener, if you are like, whew, this struck a chord, please feel free to book a relationship game plan call with me. It is free, and it's a chance for me to support you and your partner to building a deeper relationship together, better communication, deeper connection, and the emotional intimacy you've been craving. You can book yours in the link in the show notes. To the person who wrote this letter, I see you, and I see your willingness to finally face what happened to you. This work is going to make all the difference, not just for your future. Doing this work will not be easy, but the payoffs will be amazing. Okay, dear listeners, I'll see you next week. Before you go, I want to leave you with this. The effort you put into your relationship is one of the most important investments you'll ever make. How you communicate and grow together shapes your home, your leadership, and the example you set for the people around you. Relationship work is truly legacy work, and it quietly impacts more lives than we often realize. If this episode resonated, consider sharing it with someone you care about, a partner, a friend, or another couple who's building a full life and want their relationship to be the best part of it too. And if you're enjoying these conversations, make sure to follow or subscribe to Relationship Reset. Leaving a rating or review also helps this message reach more couples who are ready to grow with intention. I'll see you next week.